Let's turn to the other big story in the national capital, where the centre today has egg on its face. An embarrassing gaffe in parliament over India's most wanted fugitive and terror mastermind Dawood Ibrahim. Minister of State for Home, Haribhai Chaudhary, told parliament that he is unaware about the location of the prime accused in the 93 Mumbai serial attack case. Now this at a time when over the years India has asked Pakistan to return Dawood Ibrahim, who is based in Karachi. Now facing flack over its gaffe, the government has come out with a series of conflicting statements. The damage though may already have been done.
One of India's biggest manhunts may officially have gone cold. The government claims it is clueless about the whereabouts of Mumbai blast mastermind Dawood Ibrahim. Government's latest stance effectively buries the open secret that Pakistan is protecting Dawood in a safe house in Karachi's upscale Clifton area. Pakistan suddenly getting an upper hand in over 2 decades-old chase to nab Dawood.
From Mr. L.K. Advani to Mr. Chidambaram to even the current Home Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh, at various points claims have been made that New Delhi is absolutely confident that Dawood Ibrahim is in Karachi, or that he is moved to Afpak areas, or that he is within Pakistan. But this statement now, of course, makes all of this process that has been done over the years seem very ambiguous, and a lot of hard questions need to be asked.
The latest position is a continuation of the flip-flop by the government and also flies in the face of earlier claims by the centre.
दाऊद का जहां तक प्रश्न है वो मोस्ट वांटेड लोगों में से जिसके संबंध में कि भारत ने भी पाकिस्तान से कहा है कि उसे हवाले किया जाना चाहिए और प्रतीक्षा कीजिए।
अमेरिकन जो एफबी है उनके साथ मेरी बात हो गई है एफबीआई के साथ, और उनके अधिकारी और हमारे अधिकारी हमने बताया है वो कहाँ रहते हैं, ये भी बताया है। हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं उनको लाने का।
Headlines today had exclusively caught Dawood on tape as recently as 2014, striking deals from Karachi.
उसको उसका कैश फ्लो बना लें और जो माल हम उठा रहे हैं वो 25 की कंपनी में हम अलग कर।
हाँ, वो बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं। कुछ तो इन्वेस्टर लोग को भी ओपन कर सकते हैं।
Facing flag, the government has begun a damage control, promising a statement in Parliament on Wednesday, pointing at its effort to raise Dawood's extradition with Pakistan. But Pakistan may have already got a handle against India. With Smita Sharma in Delhi and Hamza Amir in Islamabad, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Okay, now let's look at what is the evidence that we have. At least we have, or journalists have over the years, or the government claims to have, that Dawood is indeed in Pakistan. Evidence number one, Mail Today accessed a series of tapes in which he was tracked to Karachi. He's heard expanding his real estate empire. Just a couple of months ago, we'd broken that story, and those tapes are there with the government as well. So why didn't the government refer to those tapes? Why did they then say they don't know where Dawood is? Based on an IB dossier, Aaj Tak had tracked the new den of India's most wanted don to Karachi. We had gone there to Clifton Avenue to the exact spot. We should be showing that photograph to you, the exact spot where Dawood Ibrahim had his address. We have evidence, and the IB has confirmed this, of Dawood's huge investments in the Karachi Stock Exchange and in Pakistani construction companies. This is part of this dossier that the government of India at various times has put out. Evidence number 4. It's very clear that Dawood Ibrahim hosted his son's wedding to Javed Mianda's daughter. This happened in Karachi in 2011. This was again in the public domain. All this has been happening in the public domain. Why did the government of India then have to say in Parliament today they don't know where Dawood Ibrahim is? It brings me to my big question. Is the Modi government letting Pakistan off the hook on Dawood Ibrahim? That's the question that I'm going to raise with my panel. Joining me now, Sanjay Jha of the Congress joins me from Mumbai, Sudhanshu Mittal of the BJP, and KC Singh, former Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. We also hope to be joined by former CBI Joint Director Shantanu Sen. Appreciate all of you joining us there. Sudhanshu Mittal, are you going to concede that the government has scored a bit of a self-goal today. Right through the campaign, Narendra Modi said, if he comes to power, he'll bring back Dawood. He questioned why the UPA failed to do so. Today he tells Parliament he doesn't know where Dawood is. Or his government says they don't know where Dawood is.
Rajdeep, I would much appreciate if you read out the reply. Because the reply is in the context of a specific question relating to extradition.
Yes.
Now, in relation to the extradition, the government has said he cannot be extradited because the exact address of his is not known. Rightly so.
Sir,
Being in
extradition is
Karachi
not
does
about an
entitle
address, it's
the
about a
government
country.
to claim extradition.
Sir,
Allah,
I have the question. The minister
please.
could have said
Sir, please me.
very clearly that Dawood Ibrahim is
Sir,
located
please,
in
can I
Pakistan.
answer?
We do not know his exact address, but we are pushing for his extradition. How can you make this a reason to give in Parliament to
Sir,
say I don't know his exact address in Pakistan?
Rajdeep, would you allow me to complete?
Yes, please.
I mean, unless you hear what I have to say,
Please
if you
go
want
ahead.
to comment on it, I have nothing to say on the matter. The fact is that it is in relation to extradition. And the statement specifically says, in the absence of this, the extradition cannot be asked for. Because when you ask for an extradition, you need to give either, the man should either be in the custody of the government of that place, or the exact address is to be known. Since
Sir,
the
I
exact
take your
address
point.
cannot be disclosed or is not known, so...
Sir, I take your point, but then why did... Sir, when there was a Congress government, when Sushil Kumar Shinde was the Home Minister of the country, the BJP and the now Prime Minister Narendra Modi used to attack Sushil Kumar Shinde saying he is helpless to do anything about Dawood from Pakistan.
Sir,
now you are in government, you've realized the limitations of the law, that you have to give the exact address if you have to extradite someone. Which means you are playing politics. I am showing pictures on my screen when Aaj Tak went to the exact spot where Dawood lives or used to live in Clifton.
Rajdeep, can I finish?
Yes.
Let me give the complete side of the story, then you please make whatever observations you have to make. The same reply was given by the UPA government. You showed Mr. Shinde's statement. After the statement, the same reply was given because again the context was extradition. And secondly, if you look at the interview of Mr. Narendra Modi relating to this very issue, what did he say? He says, if Dawood has to be tracked, you don't do it by media. You don't do it by publicizing where he is. He's not. What the security agencies know in terms of his whereabouts is a different matter. For the purpose of extradition, this statement has been made. Now, if you want to distort it and say the government is claiming it does not know,
I am not
no, that's not the
distorting it.
truth.
You have given a handle for Pakistan.
No,
Pakistan will say if a country doesn't know where Dawood Ibrahim is, then how can you claim that he is in Pakistan? Please understand what you have done. The enormity of the self-goal that you have scored today.
You still do not understand what I'm saying. For the simple reason, when it is government to government negotiation, you say he is in Karachi. He is under your patronage. You are protecting him. You are giving him all the facilities. Hand it over to us. You don't tell the Karachi establishment or the Pakistan establishment, house number 56, room number 3. That's not it. You are protecting the man who's a fugitive, who's a criminal as far as the Indian laws are concerned, and you are patronizing him. That's what you tell
So
the
you're
government.
saying this is
And
for the
that's what you're
limited
telling
issue
the
of
government.
extradition.
And mind it, nobody is expecting the Pakistan government to be benevolent to say, no, we'll just catch him.
Okay.
The moment we raise these concerns, the moment this government came to power, his resolution was changed. You talked about 57. You know this, he's no more there. So please,
Sir,
what the reply is, read the reply, the context of what the reply has been given, and don't say the government is now claiming ignorance. No, the government is not claiming ignorance. It is merely saying that in the context of extradition, we cannot claim extradition because of this deficiency. That is all. So it does not affect our bilaterals with Pakistan.
I take your point, sir.
It does not weaken our case. Do you realize that Interpol has a red corner alert against this man?
Sudhanshuji, I have taken your point. You are saying I have taken your point now. You are saying it's in the limited context of extradition that this statement has been made. Sanjay Jha, before I come to you, I want to get KC Singh just to get an expert opinion. Before this becomes a Congress versus BJP, KC Singh, is there merit in what is being suggested by Sudhanshu Mittal that for the limited purpose of extradition, we need to say exactly the address where Dawood is located? Otherwise, all that we can say is that we don't know where he actually resides. And that is not giving, according to Sudhanshu Mittal, a clean chit to Pakistan.
Rajdeep, 2 points. Firstly, Mr. Mittal's argument is that two wrongs make a right. Because UPA did it, they repeated, they have a carbon copy of the same answer, so therefore this answer is also valid. Now, obviously, it's a very bad reply. Drafted badly by MHA during UPA regime, repeated this time unthinkingly, they've just given it to the parliament being an unstarred question. There are 10 different ways you could have answered the question. You could have said extradition cannot be done because the person has not been apprehended. You don't say located.
Right.
When there's a red corner notice, there are any number of extraditions that Americans have sought from us. Boys who have run away from there, after committing a crime, etc. in Punjab. Now they don't know the address. The person is a fugitive. So you basically say this is the name. These are his particulars. These are his known addresses. Now it is incumbent on you to locate him because he's in your country. We are not supposed to provide every single address. Even if you give the address to Pakistan, and that's the experience in the past, they'll either deny it or move him. And you know what they did with Osama? They knew where he was in Abbottabad, but they kept telling the Americans he's not there. So the only way to deal with the Pakistanis is actually self-help. But we, for a long time, we have known exactly where Dawood was. But I suspect what has happened is, in the last 2 years, with even Saudi Arabia shutting the doors, once I think he realized Saudi Arabia had also started sending terrorists back to India, UAE door had been shut when I was ambassador there. UAE told me in 2000-2001 that they had conveyed it to Dawood that if you transit through UAE, we'll catch you and hand you over. His brother, as you remember, 2003, I sent him back. Iqbal Kaskar used to be in Dubai. He was sent back. He's now in Bombay. Therefore, he had started avoiding a number of GCC countries.
Did you know exactly where he was?
Listed him.
When you were former Secretary MEA in Dubai, in UAE, did you know exactly where Dawood was? Was it clear? Would Ibrahim Kaskar have been able to tell you exactly where Dawood was? Was enough effort made to pinpoint his exact location?
That should have been done by Mumbai police. We sent him back. They should have interrogated. In fact, they've not been able to detain him. Both those cases, they've not been able to prove against him. So he's going around. He was then caught for a third case. Now that is something that Indian police should do once his relative has come back. But I'm sure that any number of people he must be in touch with. Half his family is in Mumbai. But leaving that aside, I think in the last 2 years, he's probably Pakistanis and he have done an Osama bin Laden on him. They've relocated him somewhere else. They've changed his identity. He's on probably new documents. He's probably not traveling abroad, etc. Because he knows the Americans are watching. They are not that scared of us. But they're worried that once the Americans are watching, he's probably not stirring out. But then the answer to give is not this answer. Don't defend the indefensible. My advice to BJP will be, say it's a wrong answer.
Yeah, it was obviously a bureaucratic gaffe.
Is not apprehending him.
I take your point.
Extradition can't be done because Pakistan is not apprehending him.
I take your point. Having said that, this is surely no occasion, Sanjay Jha, for political one-upmanship. Let's be clear. The national interest, whether it's Congress governments, BJP governments, is to get Dawood Ibrahim back. And the fact is that from 1993, when he was seen as the mastermind of the Mumbai blast, we failed to do that for 22 years. So your government failed, and the BJP government is now finding its limitations in tracking down Dawood and bringing him back. Do you accept that, or are you going to make it a political issue to say, look at what Narendra Modi government is doing?
No, Rajdeep, we have no intention to make political capital out of it. That's what the tragedy of the Bharatiya Janata Party has been. And that's why Mr. Mittal today finds himself in a very tight corner. Because you see, Pakistan has always been for the Bharatiya Janata Party a very powerful emotional element of, political propaganda. Now the point is, and this is the point I wish to make, is that nobody was expecting the minister today in Parliament to make a statement on whether they intend to pursue a hot pursued policy or they have certain aggressive covert operation in mind. Nobody is saying that you have to tell that, Dawood Ibrahim is in Clifton, Block 4 in Karachi. The fact, however, is that you had the Home Minister making a very explicit statement. And by the way, as a Home Minister, not as a BJP leader in opposition, when he said just 4 months ago that Dawood Ibrahim is in the Pakistan-Afghanistan border being protected by the Pakistan establishment. So now when you have a government officially making a statement on the floor of the House, let's accept the reality that Pakistan today must be gloating at the fact that we have made a public admission that we have no clue historically, and by the way, this is a contradiction of all the home ministers in successive governments who have stated that Dawood Ibrahim is protected by the Pakistan establishment, which includes the army, the ISI, the government.
Mr. Jha, Mr. Jha, the limited
on
point.
An internationally embarrassing situation.
No, Mr. Jha, the problem is, of course, that every home minister, successive home minister, has also has pleaded a sense of helplessness in really pushing for the extradition of Dawood Ibrahim from Pakistan. That is also true. We've failed. Our diplomacy has failed, and our intelligence has failed. But Shantanu Sen, as someone who, when he was in the CBI...
I want to add one point.
No, just a minute, Sanjay, just a minute. Sanjay, just a minute. Sanjay, just a minute. Sudhanshu and Sanjay, just a minute. Shantanu Sen, as a professional police officer who's looked at the Dawood case very closely in the 90s, there's all been this kerfuffle over the last couple of days about how Dawood was ready to surrender in 1995. It's been well known. It's nothing new. The fact is, do you believe that not enough effort has been made to track down the exact location? Once upon a time, we knew it was 57 Clifton. After that, was enough effort made to track down where Dawood is? His brother comes back to Mumbai. Ibrahim Kaskar comes back. Should we not have made a greater effort to reach the point today where a government official says in Parliament, Home Ministry official says, we don't know where Dawood is?
Let me tell you, Rajdeep, that we knew where Dawood was when we were investigating the case. We had established contacts with his underworld. We were tracking his conversations on occasions. And every effort was being made to get him back into India because we had no extradition agreement. You know, we tried the same stuff with the Memons, and we succeeded in persuading Yaqub and his family to somehow...
But somewhere you lost touch with Dawood. But am I right to say that there came a stage in the latter half of the 90s where Dawood disappeared, and we didn't make enough effort to track him down in the latter half of the 90s, or certainly in the last 10 years?
Well, I was in the CBI looking after the investigations of the Bombay blast case right from 1993 to 1996. During that period, we had established contacts, but Dawood was always trying to negotiate a settlement, and we would have nothing to do with the settlement. You see, we were trying to get Dawood and his henchmen, and we succeeded. Anis Ibrahim, on our Interpol alert, was arrested in Bahrain in early 1996. And I personally went to Bahrain, and we had a lot of support from the ambassador there, I think it was Mr. Verma. And we mounted a great effort to get Anis Ibrahim handed over to us. Anis Ibrahim was effectively number 2. He was providing the arms. He had sent AK-47. He had sent the RDX. He had sent the gelatins. And
no, I take your point.
After arresting him, listen, just let me finish. What happened was very strange, bizarre. Interrogating him and being assured that we'll collect him tomorrow, overnight, Sharjah sent a case against him, and because they have an agreement that all cases in the Middle East would first give it a priority, he was overnight sent back. And when we came back to India and read the Riot Act here, Mr. Bhatia, the Minister of External Affairs, was equally angry. And the then Foreign Secretary and then JS were asked to do the needful, get down on a ton of bricks on the Amir of Bahrain, Mullah, whoever was there.
Sir, I want to stop you for a moment.
I don't know.
Sir, I want to stop you from a moment because this is 1996 you're talking about. Now we are in 2015, and my fear is over the last 10 years.
No, at that time.
For the last 10 years.
At that time, we could have got him.
Yeah, I know. That's the point.
If we had got Anis, we would have got Dawood also.
That's my point. In 1996, through Anis, you would have got Dawood. But in 2015, somewhere in the last decade, we simply lost touch with Dawood to the point where today, a Minister of State for Home is saying we do not have Dawood's whereabouts, which will be used by Islamabad, as KC Singh is saying, to embarrass us. Sudhanshu Mittal...
it is very... let me say one thing more. It's very strange that the entire evidence against Dawood and all the absconders, there are 45 of them, we arrested 16, has been led in the court. And now they stand charged.
Sir, I take that, but I must know But the fact is, our intelligence agencies today are unable to tell us where Dawood Ibrahim is, and that is my point to you, Sudhanshu Mittal. Sudhanshu Mittal, the point is that in the mid-90s, we knew where Dawood was. In 2015, it appears that our intelligence agencies have not been able to locate Dawood, which means in the last 10 years, we failed. This is not about BJP versus UPA, or NDA versus UPA. This is a failure of our intelligence over the last 10 years. To the point where today a Minister of State for Home is saying, I don't know where Dawood is.
Failure of investigation also, not merely intelligence.
Yes, don't interrupt me in between.
Yes.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Now, two things. First is that the information with the intelligence agencies is not something which can be shared with you on this television or anybody else for that matter. I think it will be a national disservice if that information is brought out in public domain. You are dealing with hardcore criminals who are most wanted, and such informations are not discussed over tea and over television. One thing. Secondly, the same identical reply was given by the UPA government in 2013 in the parliament around for the same issue. So when Mr. Sanjay Jha tries to knock
that's
at
not
the
true.
BJP, I think
that's
you
not
should feel
true.
ashamed
September
about it.
7, 2013, Sushil Kumar Shinde says we have information that he is in Pakistan. We have told this to the Pakistan Interior Minister. We want him. We do not know how long it will take, but our intelligence agencies are working on it.
Sir,
this is
that
Sushil
is
Kumar
exactly
Shinde.
what I am trying to tell you. In the parliament, he said he gave the same reply which was given today, because that also was in the context of the extradition.
I have just heard from the expert on the subject on extradition, KC Singh, saying that this is badly drafted. I have the draft here. I have the draft here. The subject has not been located so far. Extradition process will be initiated once the subject is located.
Where he is.
You have written in this written reply, the subject has not been located so far. Extradition process would be initiated once the subject is located. Effectively, you have said that you have not been able to track him to Pakistan.
Exactly. For the purpose, sir, you have to understand, there is already a red corner alert for him, internationally issued. So when it comes to extradition, it can only be, the extradition process can only start when he's in custody. If he's not custody, how can the extradition process be started?
I take your point, but you never said that when you were in the opposition.
His whereabouts have been
you never said that when you were in the opposition. My quick word from you, Sanjay Jha, and then I want to end with KC Singh.
Same thing. This reply was given in Parliament in 2013, and we did not react to it.
Quick
because
reply.
We understand the nuances. We are not
reply, Sanjay Jha.
Political capital about national sensitive national issues.
I'm just waiting for Sudhanshu to slow down.
Quick reply.
Okay, Rajdeep, very quick point. It is a self goal. It's like the Modi government saying that Hafiz Saeed is not there in Pakistan. It's something very similar.
Sir, you should be
because the truth
when
of
you
the
say
matter
that, because that's exactly
is that
what you said in 2013.
Let me explain. Let me explain. Can we please not interrupt you for a minute? Can you tell Sudhanshu not to interrupt for a minute? I'm making a statement here. The point. Rajdeep, can you tell Mr. Mittal to
quickly, I'm giving you 30 seconds.
The point we are making is a little larger.
Yes.
Yeah. The point is a lot larger. Yes, we all agree that the Pakistan government, if you read General Musharraf's statement, he said that, Dawood Ibrahim is a hero in Pakistan. They actually revere him. They protect him. They spend millions of dollars trying to ensure his security. It's a challenge for all successive governments. I think the problem that the BJP has actually created today is accentuated the problem for India by making it appear that India has had absolutely no clue whatsoever over successive years on the whereabouts of Dawood Ibrahim. I think that is a massive contradiction. I think Pakistan can utilize that on various international forums to make the process of extradition more difficult.
Sudhanshu Mittal, Sanjay Jha. No, I'm going to leave it there. I don't want a political tutu-meme on a critical national security issue.
You did the same thing in
Sudhanshu, Sanjay, KC Singh, Shantanu Sen, appreciate your joining us.